Video 3 of the Living Well program video series. The Living Well program was developed to encourage support, connection, and well-being for older adults. This program promotes healthy aging and aims to increase all older adults' well-being by sharing information and empowering participants to live a life that is meaningful for them as individuals. You might wonder, why Living Well? The title of this program was chosen because everyone deserves to live well. Throughout the video, there will be moments of pause to allow for reflection, or please feel free to pause the video at any point to view it at your own pace. You may have knowledge of many of these rights, but you might also learn about rights you have not thought much about. Please note that the information provided in this video is not legal advice. This topic extends beyond the information covered in this video. At the end of the video, you will find resources that may be helpful in furthering your knowledge of this subject matter. There are three main objectives that will be covered in this video. We will discuss how everyone has rights regardless of their age, gender, social status, health, or level of dependency. The video will identify resources that can be helpful to individuals for asserting their rights. Lastly, we will explore the concept of a safety plan and discuss when it might be useful. Let's start by understanding what rights are. It can be helpful to discuss rights as being personal rights and legal rights. Personal rights or human rights of individuals are the basic rights that every person is entitled to. These rights are informed by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Personal rights are widespread and include the right to have opinions and the right to be respected. Legal rights of individuals relate to the right to life, liberty, and the security of the person. These rights are also informed by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Legal rights can vary depending on the laws of specific provinces. Some examples of legal rights include the right to be physically safe, the right to protect possessions, and the right to have quality health care. A key message to note is that every person has personal and legal rights regardless of their age, gender, social status, health, or level of dependency. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms is a long but important document. We are going to explore the wording of a few sections from the Charter. First, the Charter specifies these following freedoms: freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media communication, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. Pause for a moment and think about what these freedoms mean to you in your life. After the Statement of Freedoms, the Charter highlights different types of rights that Canadians are entitled to. One section highlights legal rights of Canadians. This image includes one statement, that Canadians have a legal right to life, liberty, and security of person. Expanded, this right states that everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of the person, and the right not to be deprived thereof except in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice. Pause again and consider what this right means to you in your personal life. Sometimes older adults might experience a violation of their personal or legal rights. The Centre for Public Legal Education Alberta has an informative document that highlights the main pieces of provincial and federal legislation relating to older adults. This website will be listed at the end of this video, so you can access this information in more detail. Let's talk briefly about each of the acts listed here. The Alberta Guardianship and Trustee Act allows for a range of decision-making options. The Family Law Act provides a way to apply for a support order in cases of neglect. The Mental Health Act is used in extreme situations to remove a senior from an abusive situation when the abuser is not mentally competent. The Personal Directives Act allows people to create a legal document setting out their wishes for personal care after they are no longer able to make those decisions for themselves. The Powers of Attorney Act allows people to create a legal document appointing someone to manage their financial assets. The Protection Against Family Violence Act protects all family members who are victims of family violence. The Protection of Persons in Care Act promotes the safety of adults in publicly funded care. And lastly, the Criminal Code of Canada lists criminal offenses that may be applied to different types of abuse that could relate to physical abuse, financial abuse, and neglect. This is a brief overview which is being shared to provide hope for those who may be experiencing a violation of their personal or legal rights. It can be helpful to know that there are pieces of legislation that can support you in finding safety in your life. In Saskatchewan, the Public Legal Education Association, or PLEA, is an informative resource that highlights laws related to abuse of older adults. PLEA begins by listing that there is no current law that specifically identifies abuse of older adults as a separate crime, but explains that several forms of abuse towards adults may involve other crimes such as assault or neglect. In Saskatchewan, the Victims of Interpersonal Violence Act protects adults from violence and abuse by a family member. The Power of Attorney Act contains special restrictions on who can deal with a person's affairs under a power of attorney. Consumer protection laws are in place to regulate marketing practices for things such as sale of hearing aids and door-to-door sales. PLEA also highlights that there are laws and regulations related to caring for older adults in personal care homes and long-term care facilities. The PLEA website will be listed at the end of this video for viewers to access additional information relevant to Saskatchewan. We just covered a lot of information about rights and laws. Let's take a moment to work through a short activity that will have us think about some of our rights. This Knowing Your Rights activity will ask us if a statement is true or false. Let's begin. The first statement is, Canadians have the right to life, liberty, and security of the person. Is this true or false? The correct answer is that this statement is true. You might recognize it from our discussion about the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The second statement states, Canadians are protected by laws, but these laws vary by provinces. Is this statement true or false? This statement is true. As you may have noticed from earlier in the video, it can be confusing to navigate the laws that vary by province. This is why it is important to look at the province that is specified on any resource you may come across and make sure it fits with your home province. The third statement says, Canadians lose their rights as they grow older. Is this statement true or false? This statement is false. Canadians have rights regardless of their age. If you are someone who feels like you are losing your rights as you age, know that there is hope and support available to make sure that you feel safe in your life. The final statement of this activity states, Canadians can access support to help them learn more about their rights. Do you believe this statement is true or false? As was mentioned at the end of the previous statement, this is absolutely true. It can often feel overwhelming to find information, and a hope of this video is that viewers will be able to know where they can look to start their search for support. Let's take a few moments to think about this brief activity. How did this activity go for you? What were your reactions to the statements? A key message from this activity is that every person has personal and legal rights regardless of their age, gender, social status, health, or level of dependency. There may be times when an older person may benefit from safety planning, especially if their personal or legal rights have been violated. What do we mean by safety? Everyone has a right to feel physically and emotionally safe. Their relationships and reputations should feel safe, and their finances and possessions should feel safe. A safety plan is a plan that individuals can create that would prepare them with the steps they need to take should their safety be put at risk. It can be a very important tool. We are going to list a few common steps of a safety plan. Hopefully you are able to take some or all of these steps as ideas for how you can increase the safety in your personal circumstances. An important step is knowing when and how to call the police. If you or someone is in imminent danger, then it would be time to call police at 911. Sometimes incidents that violate your rights are reoccurring, so it is important to document details such as date, time, and what happened. You can also inform someone you trust of the situation, such as a family member, friend, or neighbor. Consider what would increase your safety. For some people, it can be helpful to have a trusting person come stay with them. For others, moving on to securing their home, mail, and bank account helps them to feel safe. Last, safety plans should list an action plan for what to do if an incident happens again. It is important that safety plans are individualized, so consider what other details might be important for you. A safety plan may also include resource numbers that can be accessed in time of need. The Lloydminster Interval Home Support Line number is 780-875-0966. The Alberta Family Violence Information Line toll-free number is 310-1818. The Saskatchewan Crisis Line number is 306-933-6200. All of these numbers are available 24/7. The websites listed here are a few examples of where you can access information to better understand the law and your rights. The Centre for Public Legal Education Alberta strives to make the law understandable for Albertans and can be accessed at www.cplea.ca. OakNet is a website published by the Centre for Public Legal Education Alberta. OakNet specifically highlights Canadian law for older adults and can be found at www.oaknet.ca. The Public Legal Education Association of Saskatchewan includes legal information for residents of Saskatchewan. It can be accessed at www.plea.org. To recap this video, we started by exploring how everyone has rights regardless of age, gender, social status, health, or level of dependency. We highlighted many resources that can enhance knowledge regarding your rights. We also discussed how safety planning can be one tool that individuals use to protect their safety and well-being. This brings us to the end of video 3 of the Living Well program video series. Thank you for listening and watching. We hope that you have learned something new or added to your knowledge. If you have any additional questions about the Lloydminster Interval Homes Living Well program, please do not hesitate to contact us.